Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rudolph Vomit, and today's review is about this adorable yet large seal clubbing machine called the Grosstraktor. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Grosstraktor, but well, prove me if I'm wrong, or correct me if I'm wrong, rather. But anyways, about this Grosstraktor Krupp. So, why do I like this thing? Why is it my favorite seal clubbing tank? Well, there's some reasons why it shouldn't be. It has a huge silhouette. It has a giant figure. Like the Panzer V-4, which has the Panther hull. It's comparable to that. Look. See the difference? There's the Grosstraktor. There's the Panzer V-4. It's a pretty big tier 3 machine. Uh-oh. And its armor can't hold up for anything, as its strongest point of armor is 14 millimeters. That is in the front of the hull and the turret. The sides and the rear, and look at that little mini turret, I think that's adorable. Reminds me of Jap heavies, which are coming soon. But this thing is not a Jap heavy, as it has 8 millimeters on the back, 8 millimeters on the side. Now this thing actually isn't that slow. This thing can get up to 44 kilometers an hour. And with a 250 horsepower engine, you can reach that speed pretty quickly. You have a 15.24 horsepower to weight ratio. That's not that bad. Now, your traverse is 36 degrees a second. And your turret traverse is 41 degrees a second. So, this thing becomes less of a medium tank and more of a light tank in those essences. I guess you could say its speed is really, at tier 3, is really less of a medium tank. Because you can get to those positions you want to get to very quickly. And you can turn a lot quicker and swing around if someone's trying to flank you. And trust me, when you're that big and derpy looking, someone's going to want to flank you. Be like, oh, this guy's an idiot. Probably just going to get around him. But surprise, surprise. And this thing also has an astonishing 10 degree. So you can play peekaboo with your tank. Oh, why would you play peekaboo with something that big? Well, because your turret really isn't that big compared to your hull. I'd say about 5 of those turrets would make the hull. You can literally poke over edge. Your armor isn't going to hold up for long. So I suggest to you, poke over, aim the shell, and pull back. Because you don't want to be taking any hits in this thing. Because they will penetrate, regardless if they're armor piercing or high explosive. And if you're gonna fire premium at this thing, just stop in your tracks. Why would you fire premium at this thing? But anyways, the most important part about why this tank is my favorite seal clubbing tank. With that 7.5 centimeter KWK 37L24, I don't even have to explain. Just look at the gun statistics. Almost 11 rounds a minute. Penetration is 38 with high explosive and 175 damage. And the difference between high explosive and armor piercing, penetration-wise, is about 5 millimeters. So why even bother firing AP? Why even bother? Because with high explosive, you get such a great damage bonus. And even if you don't penetrate, you can still do a little bit of damage. I'd say 30 to 50 is about as much as you're going to be doing. And heat is nothing to laugh at. 87 millimeters of penetration on a tier 3 medium is very excellent indeed. Now, the gun, yes. As you might have guessed, it is a derp gun. Well, not only by the size of it, I mean, look at that thing. Look at that thing. When you're aiming down in first person, you can barely even see the gun on the right side of your screen. But anyways, it is a derp gun. Look at the accuracy. That's almost KV2 accuracy. And this thing can be compared to a KV2 in some instances because of its just raw damage output. But unlike the KV2, this thing actually has some reasonable DPM. With that 10.91 rounds a minute, I'd say, or rate of fire, I'd say your shell reload is about 5 seconds average. Mine is 5 seconds on my Grosstraktor. 5.03, I believe. And that aim time, you don't even have to worry. If you're gonna stand and deliver, do not worry. Because by the time you reload, you will be fully aimed. Now, 2 seconds is pretty dreadful if you're on the move and you're gonna stop and take a pop shot. But it's not all too bad. For a tier 3 derp tank, that's not all too bad at all. Now, while this thing is glass, if someone is stupid enough to shoot at your spaced side armor at that angle, or that angle, it's probably not going to go through because, well, it's spaced side armor, which Germans are incredibly infamous for, and look how big those tracks are. Look how big those tracks are. They literally cover the whole side of the tank. So, if you're feeling and there's a juicy tier 2, or fail platooning tier 1 you want to go after, you might be able to pull off a side scrape. But I highly suggest you don't. I'm just saying, it is possible. It is possible to bounce a shell in this tank. But don't be like, oh, wow, I got the Grosstraktor, and Rudolph told me it could bounce stuff, and it didn't bounce anything. Well, I didn't tell you it could bounce. Well, I did tell you it could bounce stuff, but I didn't guarantee that it would bounce everything. Because it won't bounce everything. Because, like I mentioned before, it's glass. So, let's get to some pros and cons. This thing has a way above average hit pool. It has 10 more hit points than an M3 Lee. And it's a tier lower. Given it is German, and those things do have giant bottles of hit pool. But hey, that's a pretty solid amount. How much do you get? Well, let me check. 320, I believe? Yeah, 320 hit points. Another pro. Fast reverse speed, I already told you that. Excellent going hold down, I already told you that too. And all those pros I've already told you. I'm looking off the website, by the way. Because, well, I'm not going to write a script. It's going to brief the basics. Cons, it's pretty big. Told you that. It's wildly inaccurate. And, yes, I did forget to mention the shells travel very, very slowly. And you're going to basically look like an arty if you're going to shoot from, 300 range with this thing, because it's going to loop and go wee blop. And this thing, unlike PC Grosstraktors, does not get tier 5. This thing only plays up to the 4th tier. And with those heat rounds, even if you're fighting DW2s or Matildas, those heat rounds are going to dig through them. And those high explosive rounds can still do a significant amount of damage, even if they don't penetrate. So, do not be worrying about KV1s or BDR G1Bs. You will be fine. The worst you're gonna see is a Matilda. So, I mean, that's pretty about this thing. It's $950 gold. That's the price. I mean, that's all you really need to know otherwise. So, enough of my chatter. So, here I am on Severogorsk with my, obviously, Grosstraktor. And it is a tier 4 matchup, and there are DW2s. Now, I want you to pay attention to what I can do to the DW2s without firing AP. Just firing HE ammunition. And as you can see, I have mostly HE ammunition loaded. I got plenty of heat and some AP. In case, well, I need to fire AP. But, hey, the terrain, I also forgot to mention the terrain resistance on this tank isn't very good. That's why you see me kind of shifty in the snow here. There's the gun elevation for you. That's some good gun elevation. I think I already showed you the gun depression a couple seconds ago, but it's pretty good. It's 10 degrees, and as I get up here, I'm about to show you how much 10 degrees can do you. And I'm keeping up with A20s here, Panzer 1C, so yeah, this thing can be a light tank. And boom, there are the tanks down there. Aim down the hill. And this is where I play peekaboo with my little turret. And that M2 medium is about to get a mouthful. There's the aim time. See, it's not that bad. I can't believe I'm actually hitting these tanks. And boom, you can kind of see that shell velocity. It's not very good. You kind of have to give some lead. That was a non-penetration. That kind of hit him in the track, I guess. But I don't even need to penetrate that to kill him. And that was a dodgy shot, but hey, the Germans. Not nearly as lucky as the Russians, but it's luck on it. And boom, that poor cruiser. That poor cruiser. And just look at the reload on this thing. It's not bad at all. I take a pot shot at this DW, but I obviously miss. That was Scrub Tractor, or Grosstraktor. I call it the Scrub Tractor. That's a Panzer 2K's side, which I can pin with heat, but not with this ammunition. But it doesn't matter, because I will still do a reasonable amount of damage. But I just decide, well, the DW2 is top tier heavy tank, so I'm going to focus him. And that was a non-penetration, doing very, very little damage. But hey, it's still damage. At this rate of fire, you can slowly pick your units apart, and that didn't even have to pin that Panzer, but he's dead. I'm seeing that DW again, and taking some shots at him, and you have to give a lot of lead in this thing. Unfortunately for me, he's tracked. Panzer gets in my way, but that's no biggie. Another small round into him, and he's finished off with the SU. Now, this is where it gets very, very interesting. Because I believe a Valentine platoon rolls up, and I've loaded HE for him. Unfortunately, this one goes right into his gun and does 41 damage, I believe. This one, this is the killer shot. I see that DW, so I think, well, time to reload some heat after this shell. I know I will probably pin the front of him. Nope, there's another Valentine down there, and I've got a heat round for him. Unfortunately, HE would have killed him instantly, but I've already loaded the heat. But then I realized, well, my reload's not that long, so I reload an HE round for this special little Valentine. Poor guy. And boom, what? There's another Valentine? It must be Christmas. He's no idea I'm here. And I'm gonna take the time in that, and bam, right in the front of his gun shield. Which isn't really a shield from anything. And nope, there's the DW. He puts a shot into my side. I kind of auto-aim this one, and boom, goes in heat right through the side of that DW. And thanks to the traverse and speed of this tank, I can get around this building quick enough to put a killing blow on this DW. I'm checking to make sure he's not looking at me, but to the side, and I'm loading heat. So I wasn't going to bounce that one. But I don't think I do anything for the rest of this replay. But hey, I got a Top Gun. And I've done a lot of damage in a tier 3 medium tank. So there is a Lux on the cap, and if the Lux has the is mounting the Top Gun, I don't know the exact name or statistics of it. Bleh. But I know it is 95 millimeters of penetration, and my armor cannot hold up, let alone my hit points. Hit points have held me this far, but they're not going to hold me any longer if that Lux gets a couple shots in. Even if he's stock, he'll still be able to wipe the floor with me. So I'm trying to play it sneaky, and I see there's a little hill, so I'm like, oh, I can use my gun depression to my advantage. Fortunately, I don't have 6th sense. I don't know when he's spotted, and there he is. But he's doing donuts, I believe. And I guess this looks like the end of the game for me. So I really hope I covered most of the stuff in this replay, or questions that you had about the Grosstraktor in this replay. If I didn't, just, well, drop a comment, let me know. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys later.